just behind you. We're at 2 flags here, so watch the start. Should be pretty even. Max Cook will have the line through turn number 1. Let's hope these all get away clean. Here's the go. They are away beautifully. They're a nice, clean start. Yeah, so you can see the rooster tail of boat number 3 a little bit higher. So that is Carlin Bailey. So maybe a little bit higher in the engine height, but nothing in that as they all drag race to the line. Max Cook has a nice line into turn number 1. They're starting to compress a little bit in 2, 3, and 4. Ty Gilligan running out of 2. Starts to bend it around a little bit now as they make their way into turn number 1. Now it's going to be Gilligan first into that corner. So that is a very, very nice run from Ty Gilligan, the Yarrawonga 4x4, but just out behind him, I think in the exit to the corner, it's Carlin Bailey, mate. He's made a move, but just behind him, have a look at Meadsy in Budlight. He's running a nice line through there as well. This is going to be on into the front straight for the first time. The first time into this headwind. They've got to settle these boats down. This could go wrong, so nicely done. You can see Carlin just lowering that boat down a little bit there. But it's the Mulgard. So Ty Gilligan, Epic Racing, boat number 24 with the early lead.
With Carlin Bailey in second position now, already lining up to see what can happen down here in turn number 1. Carlin Bailey on the outside, Tyler Gilligan on the inside. This is where I was alluding to, are we going to get a good bit of acceleration out of the corner, or is it going to be horsepower at the end of the main straight here?
You can see the difference in these two boats in their angle of trim. As I said, the Queen Bee, boat 321, a different style of hull, having to run the nose a little bit higher to get the lift that he's looking for, whereas the Mulgard of Tyler Gilligan out in front in Epic Racing can run a flatter run. So as I said, in this little wind chop, I mentioned that earlier, this might change things a little bit as to the outright pace of the boats. Now, Jack Meads in Budlight Racing is now starting to get right up on the wing mirrors of Maxie Cook. Mac running that defensive inside line is going to force him to go the long way around, but this is going to be a tough battle between these two.
Failure for Carlin.
Oh, no. Carlin Bailey. He is pulled off the course, so that is a horror story for Carlin Bailey. Not so for the man going past us right now.
Maxie Cook and the Budlight have side by side as they come across. Looks like Meads will take second position as they cross the stripe this time. The caution flag being on display for Carlin Bailey down there in turn 3.
There's a little bit of squirrel in that Budlight Racing machine. So again, that engine height is right up to the top that it can, any higher and they'd probably start to lose a bit of drag. So you can see the back of the boat just rotating around the propeller a little bit. So just needing to be a little bit cautious, but driving it beautifully, mate. This is, I said, this young guy is from Victoria, Jack Meads in Budlight. Doesn't get anywhere near the amount of racing these other guys had, but he's just taking it like a duck to water. His old man is a very, very talented operator on the radio. I could just see him lean back and say, hang on, settle it down a little bit then, son. So just got to make sure you keep a level head on these young 16, 17, 18-year-olds out there. But Ty Gilligan, the man leading this field. Let's pick him up as he comes into the front straight. Yarrawonga 4x4, local business sponsoring this young kid, getting their money's worth.
Certainly looking very well balanced as it comes across the start-finish line. Pick up on second now, and that's young Meads, Jack Meads in the Budlight. And then we go back to Maxie Cook. But doing it well out in front there. Substantial lead as he turns through turn number 1. It is Tyler Gilligan in Epic.
So a bit of a challenge, turn 1, talking to the drivers yesterday. It's almost a double apex corner, and you'll see that. Let's watch Maxie go through there now. Has to settle the boat to get the sponson on the water, to give the hull some purchase, something to turn into. Settle the boat, point in the right direction, lift the nose of the boat up, try not to wash off too much speed. Settle it again to get round that middle buoy, and then lift the boat and let it drift and roll around the back. Now, that gap obviously opening, but I can tell you if we put GPSs into these boats, there's probably only 1 or maybe 2 mile-an-hour difference in these boats out there. That is the joy of this class. You've got to drive and just not waste any of that 60 horsepower you've got available. So it's an incredible teaching and development category. You've got to be smooth, soft hands on the wheel. You can't make a mistake. Make a mistake, you're going to drop 1, 2, or 3 seconds. And get it wrong in a corner, you can actually drive the sponsors of these boats in and they'll stop within their own length. It's an interesting thing. All of a sudden you're looking at the bottom of Lake Mulwala in the windscreen and the boat just pops itself back and you get quite embarrassed and, of course, lose a lot of pace.
So all of our fans down there in turn 3 would really get a great view of the guys dropping down on the trim and dropping the front of the boat down to grab some purchase for the corner, and then you'll be able to see it pop back up 6 or 8 inches out of the water on the front of the sponsons.
Yeah, if you get a chance, you should get down there and have a look at that. It's an incredible view. When they're coming straight at you at the angle of attack, they look like a fighter jet because all you can see is the canopy, the cockpit, and underneath at the back, the propeller, literally just flying. It's also surprising how much left and right they move. How literally with the torque of the engine, the rotation of the propeller, how they skate across the surface of the water. Carlin Bailey drifting forlornly down there near the bridge end. Said he will have gone through the procedure to try and shut that engine down, depower it, restart it. But Tyler Gilligan, the man in front, driving faultlessly right now. He was putting Carlin under a lot of pressure anyway. And, mate, it's a shame we didn't see that play out, in fact, because Epic Racing, Ty Gilligan, he's looking very, very good right now.
Yeah, Jack Meads in second at the moment in the Budlight machine. And that one's also looking really well settled. And as you said, only 1 or 2 mile an hour in between these boats. But over the course of our 7-minute race, of course, that's the distances that you put between you and your fellow competitor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you drop 1/10 of a second in each corner, that's 3/10 a lap. And, and you've only got to put a timer on these guys and just plug it. You've got maybe 1 or 2 seconds, in 7 minutes between them. It really is a game of millimetres for these kids, which is why it's such a great category. Gee, I like the way Maxie Cook is rolling that boat down the back straight. He's got good numbers in maxed out. As soon as I talk about him, he lifts the inside sponson around turn number 3, so has a little wobble, but running different lines. So, again, there's no point, just doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting a different outcome. It's a definition of insanity. So you can see now he's trying to change his line, trying to run a different line to see if that translates to potentially better lap times. He'll have his crew down here running the clock on him as he rolls around. So really quite aggressive on his trim now, so starting to give the boat a little bit more air as the maxed out machine. Boat number 663. Looks very nice in that front straight, so well driven for the birthday boy.
So we've explained what happens when we're going into the headwind up towards turn number 1. How about coming between turn 1 and turn 2? You've got the wind coming from the starboard side.
Yep.
How is that going to affect the trim? Obviously, you wouldn't trim it up, or you'd have to trim it up a little bit more.
Yeah, correct, because you haven't got a headwind, so you actually, to find the same amount of lift, it's not the same angle that you had on the way through here. The other thing too, when it's coming across your right-hand side, as we see the yellow flag come out this time round for Tyler Gilligan, it'll actually try and push that side of the boat down. So you tend to find you've got to work the wheel a little bit to try and keep the boat balanced. So turn a little bit away from the breeze, if that makes sense. But so essentially you're flying these things. You're not driving them. They're not the family cruiser. You're just flying these things like our Red Bull Air Race pilots were yesterday. Yellow flag, 1 lap to go. Ty Gilligan just got to keep it clean, keep it rolling, and he will take this top step of the podium. And, mate, Jack Meads.
Doing
this
a great
guy's he's come from the wide pole as the provisional driver in this series, and he's going to find his way to a big bag of points and a second spot on the podium for race number 2.
And, of course, we go back to Maxie Cook driving my favourite name boat here this weekend in Maxed Out.
Yeah, I would have gone with Mad Max, but, it's probably not. He's only a kid, so I've got to be nice about it. But a lot of time for him and all the Cook family. They're good humans. Michaela Cook, I used to call her Mac Attack. Not racing anymore, but here we go, ladies and gents. There's going to be a big, big crowd down here that's going to give this kid a round of applause. He's a popular young man, and he's a really nice guy and a sharp operator. Yarrawonga 4x4 centre, the epic racing machine of Tyler Gilligan with a race win. And a second spot, keep it rolling. Look at him, he's flat out all the way to the line. It's Mr. Budlight Racing's very own Jack Meads from the Victorian Outboard Club. Well done to that young gun. Dad breathes a sigh of relief. He's home.
And coming home for third is Maxie Cook in Maxed Out. A great job there by Max to bring the boat home.
Well done, young man. So nice run.
And unfortunately, down there having a good look at the bridge is Carlin Bailey. Unfortunately, failed on the lap number 2.
Yeah, we're going to get a towboat down there right now to pick him up. So, hey, I mentioned it was Max's birthday yesterday. I actually haven't asked how old he is.